All right, Rahubat Collective. Um, Welcome in. We are going to talk a little bit about spiritual warfare because there are some things about spiritual warfare that need to be cleaned up. And the number one thing that we need to talk about with spiritual warfare is that it is spiritual. So, what is spiritual? Spiritual is not, spirituality, right? Let's talk about that in that sort of sense, right? So when you're spiritual, it doesn't mean that you're wearing beads or you're wearing shells and that you're praying. Those are things that you do on the physical to contact the spiritual or to amplify something within the spiritual or to amplify energy or to XYZ, whatever reason you're doing, right? When you're talking about spiritual warfare, the spiritual realm is the unseen realm. It's the invisible. It's the one that is not connected to the physical, but it's what's funding the physical. It's what's funding what you can do on the physical. So when people start talking about spiritual warfare, they're not talking about anything at all that's happening to you on the physical. They could be talking about reasons for why they could be happening on the physical, but it's not the physical causing you issues in the spiritual. It is the spiritual realm that is not being digested or heard correctly or acted upon correctly that then causes things on the physical to happen. The spiritual is your cause, the physical is your fact. The internal is the cause, and the external is the effect. When things are awry internally and spiritually, there are reactions, there are compounds that happen, and it happened. Let's say, for instance, you have one of your toys stolen, right? Let's say you have like a block of yours stolen or something, and this is like when you're younger or whatever, right? And they steal something from you. One of your friends steals something from you. Off bat, what happens in the spiritual was something was funded on their behalf to take the toy. They wanted to play with the toy, and instead of using the funding to ask you if they could play with the toy, they just go up and take it because they can. That's something they can do within their free will, right? That's not saying that anything was done good or bad. It just means that they acted on something that they decided to do. They didn't see a reason why not, right? And then here you are. You then see that action happen. You're not aware of the spiritual funding. You're not aware of it at all. You're not aware of why they did that. Your first thought is, oh, maybe they're doing it to be an asshole to me, or what the fuck? I'm playing with this. Like, not actually. I don't think you were a kid and cussing, but who cares? It's an example. So you're like, they took my toy. I was playing with it. They see I was playing with it. What's wrong with them, right? Or it could be, oh, they just wanted to play with the toy and they didn't really want to ask. That's okay, whatever. However, you're thinking about this, right? That's all given to you internally to digest, right? It's all happening in the spiritual and the invisible, involving your inner truth and inner knowings and how you truly are your authentic self. So let's say you're super reactive and someone takes the block from you and you're like, why did you do that? Why you didn't ask me for it? What's wrong with you? Right? Your reactive state within the spiritual realm is of that lower vibration, and it was matched because of an action that was taken. You had then agreed to follow through with an action that was disagreeable to the grand scheme, but agreeable to yourself. Because the grand scheme would just be y'all, you were just playing with one of your friends, right? And they just happened to take one of the toys. It doesn't mean it's gone, it doesn't mean that it's away from you, but for some reason, that physical action got you riled up in the spiritual. And the reason why I got you riled up in the spiritual is because you weren't actualizing that it was happening in the spiritual. There was a process of a list of processes that happened before you even had that reaction, despite how quickly you reacted. It doesn't matter if they put their hand on that block. The second you seen that, a whole list of things happened inside your head that made you do that. You automatically were thinking, should I touch the hand? Should I not touch the hand? Should I scream at them? Should I not scream at them? Why are they touching the block? Does it really matter? All these things. And this spiritual battle is going on inside of you. you end up choosing to act with force instead of just being agreeable with what's going on at the time, which is playing with toys. You begin to act out. And that spiritual funding that you have to instead question and allow yourself to relax and still be in that nature of having fun, still being in that nature of being in an agreeable state. You then took that funding that came from spirit and decided to externalize the issue. Now you're upset because someone else did something rather than you being upset at yourself for not understanding that this is just the area that we're in. You don't have ownership over that block. But yet, within that warfare that happened, which that does count as spiritual warfare, as it's causing the energy inside of you, it's causing the spirit inside of you to become irked, not because your spirit itself is becoming irked, but because there is something within your mind that is not agreeing with what's happening externally due to its grasp of reality, due to it wanting a control factor, wanting not to have something happen in a certain way, right? And a lot of times in spiritual warfare, especially when it comes to people reading about it, they'll always talk about someone else. They'll always say, oh, it's them, it's them, it's them, they're doing this, they're doing that. And very solemn will you hear anyone say it, even if they do say it, they don't stay on the topic for too long for some reason. And they'll say, oh, but maybe you have this and maybe you have that, but they did all that to you. Who cares what they did? It's all about what you did. The spiritual warfare is how you are going to react and how you are going to respond. And if you are not going to respond within that authentic self, and how you truly desire to respond, within how you truly desire to be, then you're not winning that spiritual war. Maybe your authentic self is to smack someone's hand and whatnot because you feel like it's right. Well, yeah, you feel like it's right. That's the right wording for it. Then that's what you do, of course, and then however they respond is how they're going to respond. Maybe you're more of just the agreeable, like, oh, everything's just kind of happening the way it is. I don't need to get upset or mad about it. It's just going on, right? However this is for you. But there's this invisible force that's funding and allowing you to take those actions, allowing you to shift your focus, allowing you to do all these things. And it's not based off of what's happening on the physical. It's based off of how the internal's happening. Because it goes from the spiritual to the internal side of you to the external to see what's going on then, to see how you compare to the external. Maybe you grew up not having a lot to yourself, which is why you smacked that person's hand. And then you were like, oh, I didn't have much growing up. I didn't have much control growing up. So now I'm scared and I have to be in this reactive energy to sway things in my way, sway things in my manner when it comes down to things, which is your own inner battle of trying to fight a past version of yourself, a past experience of yourself that doesn't relate with anything that's going on in the physical in current time. But it's playing that same memory, that same cycle, that same paragram over and over again, the paradigm, I should say, then you're stuck with it and you end up replaying those past events. Now let's take it a step further to something that people are more familiar with. The tenses of you feeling attacked by someone. You're not being attacked by anyone other than yourself. And that is a thing you have to understand when it comes down to spiritual warfare. It is not the fact that someone outside of you is doing something to you. It does not matter if they're doing it on purpose or not, because the root thing is you and how you are responding to it. If you know someone is doing it on purpose, why does that make you upset? Why do you purposely play their game so that they have the leverage of whatever they're doing in their life? They might just be doing it on purpose because they find it fun. Allow them to live in that reality. That doesn't have to be yours. Now, when we look at this from the spiritual aspect, it goes from a need of control. You might have been bullied a lot growing up, or not having a lot of control, or not having a voice heard, and then having someone do that to you now feels like it's an attack on you, when in actuality it's the spirit realm trying to show you, hey, you're not very strong in this area, you're very weak in this area, and you need to boost up, you need to gain more of a resistance to this if you're wanting your destined path, which is what you're wanting as you keep asking me to protect you and to show you where your destiny is and to do all these things. Now we're giving you events in your life to help you move forward so you aren't stuck in these past cycles and are in a more matured state when that destiny moment arrives. But you're in this physical energy, this physical attached mood where I can't do it because they're being mean to me. Tell them to stop, divine. When in actuality, the divine's trying to tell you to stop. You to stop focusing on them. You to stop trying to control what they're doing. You to stop worrying about if you're protected or not. You to stop allowing the external to dictate your internal, what you're desiring, what you're actually doing. And this is where that spiritual warfare comes in. Now you have the agreeable and the disagreeable arguing inside themselves. No, they need to quit because they're doing it to me and I don't want it. And then your other side as well, if you don't want it, then don't pay attention to it. You can't control them. They might do that until till the day they die. But the more you feed into it, the more control it's going to have over you. And well, it doesn't matter. If you know what they're doing, you should stop it. Well, we will stop it, but you have to take the steps to stop it yourself first because it shouldn't bother you internally. We're trying to show you how much turmoil you're in by focusing on the external, by trying to control things on the outside, but you still try to do it. And for what? You're not using the operations correctly. To which you'll go, well, they need to stop for me to be able to be calm so I can forget about it. And then whenever they stop for a while, they can continue again and I'll be better. And the divine's saying, no, that's not how it works. It's internal to external. Your internal keeps falling for that bait, keeps allowing the energy to have control. So it's going to keep calling that in. It's going to keep allowing it to happen, not in the sense that it's going to stop if you ignore it, but in the sense to where it's going to have some effect over your internal being, over your mind, which then will affect your external body, your shell that you're in, which will then affect your physical reality, and in turn shape your fate, and not your destiny, but shape your fate as you are using and playing in the realm of black magic on your own self. And black magic just means poor magic. Black is property, black is dead. When you are messing with black magic, you are messing with forces that deal with property and ending things. And that thing can be inside of you, having the property, having the ownership of that feeling, having the co-ownership, I should say, as it's not just your feeling. It is the divine fueling you to feel that feeling. So it is a code, it is a cooperation of a feeling of being happy that is then destroyed by someone else's actions, by your own lack mentality, by your own willingness to say someone else has more power than you, which and then makes them have more power than you because you've then been programmed by yourself that that's happening. Just because you keep touching a stove that's on doesn't mean it's going to get colder. The stove is on, the heat is on. The more you interact with that stove and keep touching it, the more hot your hand is going to get due to you keep using it. Doesn't matter if you switch hands or not, the heat's still coming out. You keep interacting with it. And that's what needs to be seen is if you want something to stop, you must stop first because it's only happening for you to show you something that you've yet to internalize or actualize to any degree or point. This goes from people seemingly doing magic on you, which really allowing someone to do magic for you is just saying that you're allowing them to manifest things in your life because you have those weak points. When people do magic on people, it's not just something random that they do it on a weak point. It's a mental reality that we're in. It's a mental game. Spiritual warfare lies a lot with the mental realm, the spiritual mental realm. How do you feel about yourself? How do you see yourself from an internal point of view rather than an external point of view? If you have those lacking boundaries of, oh, I'm not good enough, then you're going to have financial issues. You're going to have self assurance issues. You're going to have self reflection issues. You're going to have issues with your self image. And your self image is connected to prosperity, to abundance, to how you fit with the grand scheme of things. All of these, all of these little subjects, all these little labels that go with it. And then all of a sudden, you're not getting in relationships. You say people are stealing relationships from you, when in actuality, you're just not making the moves that are necessary, or you're not accepting someone else's preference as their preference and trying to say that someone did something to ruin it, because you've already have that lacking boundary inside of yourself to admit to yourself that you're just not for someone. Whenever you try to hype yourself up with this ego saying that you're all this, deep down inside there's a disagreement, because your spirit, your soul knows that you are all that, but you're not living proof of that yet. As you're not living in that proof, you're not allowing yourself mentally to keep that. Your mental is shaky, it goes back down and then back up, it doesn't stay that solid. So some days you'll have beautiful grand days where things work out fully, and other days it sinks down to the rock bottom, and it's that shaky rational self that's viewing the external, and it's not getting that gratification from the external, because it doesn't get any gratification from the external. It's all from the spiritual, from the invisible, from the funding that you get to be able to see more than what the eyes, the physical eyes, can reach. This also goes with people trying to, a funny one I like to hear is stop people from their destiny. That's not a thing. No one externally can stop you from your destiny or steal your destiny. That's all you. That's all you. It is a self issue, a lack of accountability, a lack of self respect, a lack of self ambition that you have inside of yourself, that is then seen from an external standpoint, because you've yet to see and learn that lesson internally. You might say to yourself, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I could do this, I could do that, and you don't do those things. So now you see people externally taking those moves, and you start to think, are they doing something to me? They have to be picking up on my energy and stealing it. Which that statement might seem correct in that type of thinking, but it's not your energy. You don't own anything. You don't own the energy. That is the divine's energy that they're gracing you with to spend the way that you're wanting it. And instead of spending it in the proper way, you're letting it stay in these clump forms of thoughts, and you're not taking any physical action. That doesn't mean you still can't take that action. That doesn't mean your destiny's stolen or gone. That's just a bunch of horseshit. You can still take those actions. It's just you will have those limitations on yourself that will keep you from experiencing the grander scheme of things, because you already believe that someone else is doing what you desire to do. Then in retrospect, you get that jealousy virus. You start seeing things that they do that you never even thought about you liking or wanting, that now you desire and that you think is part of your destiny, when it's not. As if it was part of your destiny, you'd be going with it. You've chosen the path of fate rather than destiny, because of the way that you think and the way that you feel about yourself, which is in retrospect, how you feel about yourself is how the external reality is going to react. So if you feel like you're weaker, if you feel like you're not doing what you need to do, if you keep telling yourself, I need to do this, I need to do that, your external reality will show you that you do need to start doing that by showing you other people's actions and showing you all these other things. When people are doing magic on you to try and steal something from you while you're actively pushing forward to do things, that's when your energies go into a battle. And it's not between you on the physical and them on the physical. No, it is a battle of energies. It is a battle of mentality. Who will give up first? Truly, who will realize first that they're not made for that section? Who will choose a different path in order to serve the highest, best version of themselves, so that they no longer have to feel that fear or that rejection from themselves that's being shown to them externally by other people's ways of being? This is how spiritual warfare is. People get so trapped within the mental realm of things, because again, we live in a very mental, physical plane. We get so trapped in the mental ways of being that now you begin to blame others. Oh, well, if they weren't doing this and they weren't doing that, then I would be able to do all these other things. But would you really? Were you doing those things before? Were you doing what you truly desired to do before? Or were you still making excuses of, I don't have enough, I don't know how to do this, I can't do this, I can't do that? That's what you have to ask yourself deep down and truly, because you have the plan inside of you still, but now that something externally is going against it and you can visibly see it, you're using that as your new backbone instead of just seeing it being yourself. Seeing, oh, well, this person has this support and I don't. What have they done that you haven't yet? Oh, well, they went around and talked about it. Well, why haven't you went around and talked about it? All these things have to do with you. And it might not be that you have to talk to people. You might have to go a different route. You might be looking at someone else's destiny of what they're supposed to be doing, that's supposed to be helping them with their life, rather than what's supposed to be helping you with your life. You know what I mean? The spiritual warfare really has a lot to do with you seeing things as they're happening for me and not to me. Because when you think that they're happening to you, you then put yourself into a victim mentality. You now have to rationalize with the situation to put yourself under something, to make yourself feel like you need saved, to make yourself feel like you need some form of external help instead of actualizing it as it's happening for me, to show me what I need to do, to show me my strength, to show me how I need to move forward so that I can boost myself above the average bar that I have set for myself and actually reach the goals that I'm desiring. You know, maybe you're not researching the way that you need to. Maybe your ego's getting in the way, your rational self is getting in the way, but making you feel and making you say to yourself, oh, I've already done all these things, whenever you actually haven't. You've pondered on them, but you've never actually took any action. You know what I mean? And this is where it comes down to, where you have to take that internal accountability, because the spiritual warfare is just you fighting with the divine. It's you in warfare with the spiritual realm of things. It is you in fighting motions with what's going on in the spiritual. Now again, I'm not saying that people doing magic and whatnot isn't a thing, but it comes down to you and your mentality. Are you able to control yourself? Are you able to understand that it wouldn't be happening for you or around you if it wasn't to teach you a lesson or to show you a part of yourself that you've been ignoring for quite some time? Maybe you have this religious dogma ego that keeps you from taking the steps necessary that you're needing to do. Maybe you feel like it's not right um, for you to have to go through something due to you not wanting to be fully authentic with yourself and not wanting to face those parts of yourself that do exist and are actively showing themselves to you on the physical so that you can become more aware of it. Maybe you want to play this facade of your life to make yourself seem more innocent, be due to a guilty conscience of yourself for not taking actions that you need to take. All of these things that aren't thought about or rationalized need to be, so that you can move forward freely and away from that warfare aspect of the spiritual being, of the spiritual self, which is just what we are. When people talk about spirituality, they're talking about the actions involving spirit. They're talking about the life, the actions, the feelings, the energy that spirit funds you with. There's no such thing as living a non-spiritual life. In fact, people who don't follow spirituality are using the funding of spirit to just ignore it. And that's as simple as it gets. They wouldn't even be able to exist or to breathe without spirit. It does not matter what it is. You know what I mean? You can have your heart revived. You can have blood put back into your body. You can be considered brain dead, but still be alive, right? It is not until your spirit, that timer runs out, that you actually pass. So everything is spiritual and nothing is happening bad. Nothing is happening good. Everything is happening within neutrality. And it is you internally that needs to dictate whether that's good or bad. So if you're having bad things happen around you, it's because you yourself are a bad person, because you have been in that energy of neglecting the parts of you that need that attention, that need that acceptance, that need those things. And instead of internalizing it as, oh, I'm, not being as good as to myself as I need, you externally as saying everyone around me is treating me awfully and treating me bad, because you already treat yourself like that. And the divine is just allowing you to fund that fully in your rational minds, creating that external reality by showing you all that stuff, because you've allowed yourself to treat yourself under a bar that you wouldn't let any that you don't want anyone else to treat you as. So you have to internally raise that bar even higher so you can remove those other individuals who are treating you at that lower vibration. Same thing for when you're around people who are good. It's the same thing. It's the same thing for when you're isolated. There's parts of you that you desire to dig deeper into, and you are not doing so. So they put you in isolation, not to harm you, not even to protect you, but so that you have the time and the space to truly see who you are and to see what you're truly trying to go forth with on these next steps. It's all happening for you. You can say it's for protection, you can say it's for all these things if that makes your rational mind be at ease, if that helps your reality. But it's truly happening for you so that you can know more of yourself, to know that you already are protected, but it's part of you that keeps ruining that protection. There's part of you that keeps hurting that protection. There's part of you that keeps removing that protection from you to actually see what's going on. And that is the spiritual warfare aspect of it. It's nothing to do with the external. It is all internal. Every bit of it, every magic attack, every attack that you feel has happened to you, every attack that you've witnessed, every word spoken to you has all happened to you internally on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, better yet, not even an energetic level, but on a spiritual level. And you are vibrating at that match to allow it to manifest on your physical reality. You have either slowed down your vibration to match those types of lower frequencies to enter your life, or you've sped up your frequency enough to overcome those and to match newer frequencies. And it's all a matter of how you're actually internalizing yourself and not externalizing yourself. If putting things on yourself externally boost how you feel internally, boost your self-confidence and stuff, do so. Allow that to be your booster, but don't let that be your only soul attachment, because once you lose that physical thing, now you're back to square one. Allow yourself to know that you've always been those things and that these are just accessories to help you be more authentic with how you're trying to see yourself internally. Just know it's always been a part of you. Always. Everything from young ages that have, things that might have happened to you at young ages and youth that might have been unexplainable, they've been parts of you. They might have been parts of you in past life that wasn't fully recognized, understood, or went through. It could even be things that you desire to experience in this life, completely starting over, so that you would have lessons and things to grow from, and to be there to be a stone for others, be there to be a Rosetta Stone for others, so that they could read the script of what you've gone through and learn how to overcome what they've gone through. It's all these things. We are all teachers, we are all students at the same time. We cannot be one without the other. Even a teacher has to go back to college and learn some things. It's a cycle that exists. As the internal, so will be the external. As above, so below. As within, so without. These are the laws that we are governed by. And it's up to us to truly actualize it. And actualizing it is internalizing it. And realizing it is external, as you're seeing it again. So it's up to us to know these things, to see these things when it comes down to spiritual warfare, because it's, again, just you fighting yourself. It's not about the other person being a mirror of you. It's the other person showing you how you've been treating yourself internally. But you're wanting this external control over them, when in actuality, you just see the internal control over you. That's all the divine is trying to show you. That's all the divine's allowing you to do. Let's say you're protecting yourself with prayers and magic and stuff. It's showing you how powerful your words are, how powerful you are within the mental realm. But for some reason, whenever things go to the physical, you then start to break down. You then begin to lose that strength, and they're trying to show you that that doesn't need to happen. That loss of strength is happening for some reason internally, and you have to figure that out. Maybe you attach yourself to labels too much. Oh, that's my friend, that's my best friend, that's my mom, that's my dad, that's my uncle, that's my aunt, that's my sister, my brother. And those labels you attach to so strongly, and you expect them to play a certain role because for some reason in your mind, maybe from seeing TV or just past life experiences or DNA passed down from your mother and father in their childhood and life, or how you hear other people talk about their childhood and all these things, or just You just see them and you put them on this pedestal and say they should be doing this for me. Oh, I did this and they should be helping me with that. That need, that ego, I should have something back, is what the spiritual warfare is also trying to show you. Where do you feel like you deserve something rather than going out and getting it? What is stopping you from taking the steps to getting and going the path that you need to go? Is it because you believe that someone else should be doing it for you? Is it because you've put someone on a pedestal that is misusing the pedestal that you put them on, and now you feel like you are overbearing by them, and are unable to move past what they're doing? All these things, and again, this is all done mentally, and these are things that you have to deconfigure and reprogram within your own self, within your own psyche, so that you can move forward, so that you can accept who you are, and um, change the reality around you. Maybe you just aren't leaving because you don't trust in yourself enough to leave safely. Maybe you are only sticking around because for some reason deep inside you believe that this one person is the only person for you, despite you meeting other people and daydreaming about other people in your life, or seeing other people from your past, or even people like walking on the streets and saying that they have that relationship that you're wanting, but you're sticking with one that's lesser. Maybe because you see something inside of them that they've yet to see, and you feel like it's your responsibility to push them forward towards that goal, when in actuality that's the spiritual warfare showing you that you need to push yourself to that boundary. You're just wanting to stay within a comfort zone. You're wanting to play low ball and hopefully change. That can happen for some people, not everyone. And it's up to you to fully actualize and realize that this isn't what's going to happen for me. They're wanting to stay on this path of life and they're proving it. I'm just going to have to leave because this isn't for me. This is when you have to separate and really go down into yourself. That spiritual warfare of loving unconditionally, which is not to force someone to change. Forcing someone to change is not love. That is a form of lust where you're needing them to change for you to have a better connection with them. That's not love, that's a lust. That's a desire from your ego standpoint to make you feel like you're unable to do something that you can do. All these things. And again, it all roots from that internal standpoint. Everyone wants to say, oh, it's the external. No, we have all these things inside of us. We have all the anger. We have all that sadness. We have all these emotions, really, truly, feelings are what they are, because emotions are the actions we take on the physical. The feelings are what we feel, right? We already have all that around us. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transmuted and transformed. So we're surrounded by all these emotions, all these feelings. We're surrounded by all these ideals, these labels, these actions that we can take with these feelings. We're surrounded by them completely. They're inside of us all the time. They're around us all the time. It's up to us to actualize and realize and choose consciously or unconsciously, for most people, what we desire to feel and how we desire to emote with that feeling. And this takes practice. This takes meditation, knowing who you are, knowing what makes you upset, figuring out why it makes you upset, and seeing what you can do to change that instead of getting continuously upset. So next time someone's pushing your buttons or doing something, don't say that they're trying to hurt and scare you. They're trying to show you something. If you feel like you're being stalked and harassed, even if you are, it's to show you you're not doing something that you need to do. You know that there's something you can do. You know that there is an action that can be taken, but you're using that energy that the divine is giving you to take that action, to take another route, to choose another feeling, to choose another emote, to then live in, and then go back to the divine and say, hey, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. You need to help me. And they give you more of that energy to push you out of that boundary, out of that space, out of that crevice. But then you decide to curl up more and deeper and not move. It's not that they're not helping you. You have all that you need. You're just not using that funding correctly to your own demise, causing you to go through more fate, causing you to go through something for a longer period of time that you don't need to. Whether that thing that's going on for a longer period of time is a feeling that is undesirable, or living in an external reality that isn't suitable for you. And you know that it's not, but you're not using that funding correctly. And this is what you're needing to see and move forward with. This is what you're needing to actualize so that you can get over and jump over and remove this hurdle, this obstacle from this spiritual self. This is the practice of spirituality, training yourself to be more aligned with the spirit that you wish to be in. You know, who are you going to follow? Mother's instructions or father's instructions? Are you going to listen to mother who's going to nurture you through things? Or are you going to focus on father who's only going to show you, oh, time, look at this, look at that, look at the physical? You have all these things on the physical, and you know you have a limited amount of time. You know that time's a big thing. Or are you going to focus on the spiritual, the mother, where she's funding you with love and catering, and it's okay. All you need to do is these things, and father will work with you, you know, but you're using that rational self before it hits out to the physical to corrupt it, to change it into something awful and bad. So now the external reality, what father is getting from you is, oh, I don't really want anything of that yet. I need to work more on these things, and they'll get them and they'll show you it. And you can learn more about this on the book, Writing on the Ego. I finished part one. I have just now finished part two. If you're interested in it, you can either go to the website that's in the description that I finally have out, or you can email me about them and you can get it that way. But regardless, it's important to know how you operate. And this is the whole spiritual warfare, is knowing how you truly operate versus what you are desiring the external reality to do. And if you're operating on this system of wanting the external reality to change, you have to change the system that you're working under. I wanted to make this short little video about spiritual warfare. It's been on my mind for a minute, and someone wanted me to go live a while ago about it, but I'm going to make a video about it first and then go live. And that live is going to have like a bunch of questions. Even if you're not there for the live in person, just you can still watch it, and it's going to be up. It's going to be answering questions and showing different paths of how to get over certain things within spiritual warfare, answering deeper questions from other people about spiritual warfare, all these things. And I just think it's going to be really educational, because we need to talk about it instead of just throwing around like, oh, spiritual warfare is whenever this happens. No, no, no. It's happening internally, always internally. Nothing can happen externally. It happens internal. Same thing. I mean, look at light. Light cannot be actualized until it bounces inside of your cornea, inside your irises, and then reflects back out. It has to come from within. But how do you even recognize that light is even coming? Through a process that happens inside the mind before that light even gets there. You know? But regardless, thank you all for all the support. Thank you all for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. I love each and every one of you all, to the moon and back, tenfold and forever. If you're wanting to donate to the fundraiser that we have, or wanting any of the services, or needing to email me about anything, all that is in the description. You can also email me from the website that we have. You can get basically anything on the site, any of my services from the site. But if you're looking for any other services that I do offer, you can use the order form or email me, and I'll send you them that way as well. The donation links are also in the description as well, and also on the website as well. But regardless, thank you all for everything that you do. I love each and every one of you all, to the moon and back, tenfold and forever, and I will see y'all later.